Hello there, my name's Scott. Today I'm going to be doing a review on the Vision Vivi Nova STV, which I received from www.ukecigstore.com. Before I start, I must point out I did receive it free of charge for the purpose of conducting a review. My opinion of the product remains true, honest and accurate as always. Okay, let's go straight ahead and show you what's in the box. Okay, so the Vision Vivi Nova STV comes in a little presentation box. And inside you're going to find a fully assembled STV with a drip tip attached and one atomizer head already installed, plus two spare atomizer heads as well. Now, as far as I'm aware, the STV is the latest version of the Vivi Nova, because there's been a few different sort of variants since they first came out. And this particular one now has a metal shell going around the outside, which will obviously make it a lot stronger. You do still have two sort of cut out windows though, so you can still see how much juice you've got left in the tank. On the base you're going to find a 510 atomizer connection, so that means you can use it with any device that also has a 510 threading. And on top you're going to find a space for a drip tip. Now it does come with a 510 drip tip already attached, but obviously if you want to use your own one, you just pull that out and fit your own drip tip in there. Now, like I said, the kit is going to come with three of these atomizer heads included, and they're going to be different resistances. You're going to have a 1.8 ohm, a 2.4 ohm, and a 2.8 ohm. And you can obviously tell what resistance they are because it's written on the front of them now. Now, the 2.4 ohm one was the one that was pre-installed in the STV, and I used that for around a day, but then I swapped over to the 1.8 ohm. I've been using that one ever since, and even though I've been using it sort of on and off over the last sort of 2 or 3 weeks, it's still vaping really nicely, so I'm going to carry on using that one for the moment. Okay, so to assemble the STV, all you've got to do is decide what atomizer head you want to use, and then just screw that into the base section. And then once the atomizer head is installed, you've just got to take the tank, slide it over the top and screw that into place. And then for the next step, you can just take your e-liquid and fill the tank up. Now I believe the tank holds around 3.5 ml of e-liquid, but I've just been filling it up, so it's just about to go outside of the viewing window there. That should be fine. And then to finish off, you're just going to take the top cap and slowly screw that onto the top of the tank. And then finish off by taking the drip tip and whacking that in the top. And then all that is left to do is to attach it to whatever device you're going to be using. I'm going to use it on my Black Pro Vari. And that's it, all ready to go and have a nice vape. Okay, so that is the Vivi Nova STV. Let's go ahead and see what it vapes like. Okay, so that was the Vision Vivi Nova STV, and what I'll do now is go ahead and show you in action. So I'm going to be using it on my Mini Pro Vari, which is currently set at 3.8 volts. The tank has been filled up with some 18mg strength tobacco flavoured e-liquid, and it's just a PG e-liquid. And I am using the 1.8 ohm atomizer head. However, where I've been using it over the last sort of couple of weeks, it's now risen up and it's reading at 2.2 ohms. Okay, so this is the Vision Vivi Nova STV. So as you can see, like vapour wise, you're getting plenty of vapour out of it. But when it comes to the vapour production and the throw hit really as well, it's going to be quite dependent on your own sort of personal setup with regards to what sort of device you're using, what sort of voltage or wattage you've got it set to, what sort of e-liquid you're using, whether it's a PG e-liquid or a VG e-liquid.
the atomizer head, the resistance of it, all those things will play quite a big sort of factor in how much vapor production you're going to get, and obviously how strong the throw hit's going to be as well. But with the setup I've got here, getting plenty of vapor and plenty of throw hit. With regards to flavour, now for me personally, the best sort of atomizers for bringing out the flavour of your e-liquid are definitely the Genesis style atomizers. If you get one of those nicely set up, then like flavour production is pretty hard to beat. So for me, it's not quite up there with the like the best of the best. However, I would say it's if I was going to sort of compare it to something, I'd say it's pretty much bang on par with like a Bode cartomizer. And Bode cartomizers, like the STV here, they are good for bringing out the flavour of your e-liquid. Not quite the best of the best for bringing out the flavour, but nevertheless, you're still getting plenty of flavour out of them. Warmth for the vapour, it's coming out sort of quite warm really. If I was going to say like 1 was really cold vapour, 5 was really hot, I'd say it's probably around sort of 3.5 mark, something like that. It's definitely not cold, but it's definitely not sort of hot, but it's more than over the like the middle mark, so I'd say it's just a nice sort of warm vape. And the draw on it, I suppose it will be sort of fairly dependent, because on these ones, the air hole, rather than being on the side, it's now coming out of the like the 510 connector, like on a sort of a normal sort of standard atomizer. So you know, the actual draw is going to be sort of quite dependent on what sort of device you're actually attaching it to and how tight you're actually screwing it down there. So you are going to need to have a little bit of a gap there, and I've got a probably about 0.5 mil gap there, and I'm finding the draw to be not too tight and not sort of too loose. If I screwed it down really hard, I suppose that's going to obviously close the gap a little bit and create a tighter draw. And if I just sort of left it so it's a little bit looser, so it's just making a connection, obviously that's going to increase the gap and make for a slightly less tight draw. I've just been sort of screwing it up as normal, to be quite honest, and just leaving that sort of little 0.5 mil gap. And it's given me, I'd say if I was going to say that 1 was a really tight draw, 5 was like a really loose draw, then it's sort of pretty much bang in the middle, around sort of 2.5, something like that. If you've got one of those sort of devices which have got the slots cut out on the top cap, again, it's probably going to give you a slightly different draw on it, depending on what you're really using it with. But you know, it's not a massive amount I can sort of really tell you about it, apart from what I've already said. You know, they're pretty cheap, I think £11 or £10, something like that. The actual little sort of replacement atomizer heads, I think they're a couple of quid, something like that. Now, if you really wanted to, you could go out and buy yourself some silica wick and some camphor wire and actually make up your own sort of coils and wicks to then put inside those atomizer heads. And it will, you know, save you a couple of quid or a quid at a time. But it's quite a fiddly process, and to be quite honest, where they are sort of pretty cheap anyway, it's probably just better off just going off and buying a couple of the extra heads, and all you got to do is unscrew the old one and screw the new one in. And they do seem to be quite resilient as well. I've been using this not all day every day for 2 weeks, but over a period of sort of 2 weeks. I've been using the tobacco extract sort of e-liquids in there, and they're really good for, you know, a nice tobacco flavour. However, they are very prone to gunking up your atomizers very quickly. And this one is still going pretty strong, still getting plenty of vapour, still getting plenty of flavour out of it, and plenty of throw hit as well. So they do seem to be quite resilient little sort of atomizer heads. So for me personally, if I was going to use one of these as like my sort of main vape, I wouldn't bother making up my own sort of coils and wicks. I'd just go and buy a couple of the extra heads, and that'll probably keep you going for a good couple of months maybe. Like I said, not a great deal else I can really sort of tell you about it. You know, if you fancy trying one out for yourself, go along to www.ukecigstore.com. Type in this code at checkout and they'll give you a 5% discount every time you purchase from them. Thank you very much for watching. Also come along and visit my website at www.e-cig-reviews.com. That's e-cig-reviews.com. Cheers guys, happy vaping. See you later.